Establishing boundaries. In this part of the book, the author mentions an ideal world in which the products are not only designed to be used and subsequently replaced. On the contrary, he talks about a world in which manufacturers focus on design and lifespan of the product. Considering in this part the environmental impact that causes the making of a product from scratch. In this case, it is evident that providers must be aware of what it is really offered to the consumer and review the content in question, starting with verifying if some parts can be reusable in prolonging the life of the product in order to save energy. Expiration date. The expiration date is nothing else than a programmed obsolescence. It is the fact of scheduling a deadline for the product to become unusable. At the beginning of 1920s, the ideal of changing the model of bicycles and cars was promoted annually in order to generate a need for customers to have the newest vehicle. Another important fact was the case of the light bulb, where the hours of duration were limited in a great amount, and as a manifestation in the Soviet Union, the employees of the companies removed the lights of the houses when they stopped working, and they changed them in the companies to have new bulbs always available and thus not be victims of obsolescence. Value the opportunity. In a linear economy, the product that is developed adds value in the different steps of production. Beginning with the design of the product, this is carried out by designers who start to imagine the product and its characteristics, as well as the idea of the business that is taught to be carried out. Subsequently, faces the production stage, where materials are used to add value but at the same time detract from it due to the energy consumption that is required to carry it out. Once the product is made, the stage of product distribution is reached. In this stage, the factors that involve the distribution and the logistics used are presented, reaching the final stage, in which it is sold. This stage involves the delivery of the product and the service after the sale. This is where the manufacturer obtains the profit of the product, corresponding to the value added in the previous stages. This is when the absence of the duration or lifespan of the product is reflected. In the aforementioned process, the useful life of the product is left aside, since the manufacturer has already received the profit from it. Loads of reasons. There are three domains for which human beings are interested in the lifespan of products. In the first sector, they talk about the love that humans feel for their products. It depends on the age of the mimes looking for the sectors of the fashion or some tastes such as cosmetics or beauty products in women. The second domain is referred to entrepreneurs who, through their observation skills and experience, seek the way to attack and get to the point to generate new solutions to the problems that affect the life expectancy of the products. And finally, in the third domain, it talks about the effects that human beings received due to the current processes or products, seeking in this way an adequate lifestyle. The reality is that the human being looks for all the products to last a certain amount of time and holds onto that can still to be useful. It is necessary to imagine a product like the automobile that tends to last a long time, but in that time it needs repairs, arrangements that generate positive impacts to the economy. Round and round it goes. A model begins with the perception of reality. Drawing materials that originate in forestry and agriculture. To do this, it is necessary to go back a few steps as a painter does in order to observe possible alternatives or modifications, looking for the new model or product to have a circular model, identifying all the process that is carried out with it and the impacts that it generates in its environment. For example, coffee is only a product that is at the end of a process where a tree was planted and this was rigorously cared for so that it in its end adult stage could produce and bring coffee a little closer to how we commonly consume it. Even after being used, coffee can be part of a behavior or simply be garbage. Water fulfills a sequence of functions in circular order. It soaks earth, feeds terrestrial plants and animals. It is the home of marine life, absorbs part of the clouds, falls as rain, and so on, a molecule of water. However, always it will follow a different form. To illustrate the potential change, the butterfly diagram developed by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation can be very helpful. It is designed to demonstrate the principle of circular economy rather than linear economics and represents the circles of transformation of technical materials as a mirror image of the circles through which biological materials move. The diagram, particularly the technical side of the right, can be perceived as a hierarchy of value processing circles in different processes. If the wing on the right, technical materials, were three-dimensional, it could represent a cone in relief or a mountain with maintenance around the top of the hierarchy, recycling at the bottom and improvements in value in the middle. The concept of circular economy strives to be both an ecological system and a closed-circuit economic system. Point out the difference between them shows that for the extension of the lifespan of the product, the focus is on building and maintaining the economic value. The only advantage of biodegradable materials is that the destruction of value is free. Business model archetype. Making products last requires a revolution in ways of doing business. Making a profit from the fortunes of a product in the outside world does happen, but it needs an entirely different focus. The difference between current and after-sales trade and the new concept of products that last is that in the latter case, there is no deadline for a product to be definitely finished. Money is made not so much through the sales transaction, causing the producer benefiting from products to lose interest, but through new business models designed to keep the wheel turning and where producers benefit from every turn taken. Circular business model. The life of a product can be altered in different ways, like being modified, repaired, etc., with the intention of extending it and therefore extending its economic value. This dynamic is known within the industry as a business model, in which everything is included for product to be well accepted and paid by users. Usually, when a business model is created, it is based on the phrase, sells more, sells fast. However, this has been changing. Currently, the industry is opting for a circular business model, a strategy that aims to reduce the entry of materials and the production of waste, closing the loops, taking into account not only the economic factor but also the environmental. There are several principles to try and apply when considering the development of a circular business model. The first principle, of course, is to aim for just that, thinking in circles. Next, it is vital to think in systems around products rather than just the product itself. There are 5 archetypal business models that work inside the circular model. The order in which they are presented is determined by the amount of service the product requires and by product type. First, the classic long life model proposes a high quality product with a long lifespan, with sales as the classic source of income. After sales, support contributes to quality perception. In this model, brands more often than not have a reputation of good value for money. It is not cheap, but it never fails. Talk to anyone about products that last, and immediately familiar examples will pop up in the conversation that fit into the classic long life model. Making high quality and long-lasting products at the right price is what people tend to regard as the one and only option. It is, indeed, the obvious one to start with. Second, the hybrid model profits from the repeat sales of relatively cheap products with a short lifespan that only function together with a dedicated, high-quality, durable product. As examples, think of toner cartridge and coffee pads. When a long-lasting product is completely dependent upon a replaceable part with a limited functional lifespan, then the business model is called hybrid. The hybrid value proposition is based on a combination of at least 2 products that are useless when not combined. Third, the gap exploiter model is interesting because it does not propose anything new, but feeds on value gaps in the existing system. It concerns the person in between, who repairs smartphones, sells second-hand equipment, turns CDs into candle holders, or whatever. For this model, it is important to be aware of the fact that the specific gap to create a market needs to involve an existing product, and that the exploitation concerns leftover value and lifespan. Entrepreneurs are always looking for gaps in markets to muscle in and make money. They have to, for obvious reasons. So the gap exploiter model concerns only a limited selection of gaps. However, This does not mean that only a few exist. Fourth, the access model is about making money through providing access to a product, while its ownership remains with the access provider. The access is similar to short-term ownership. It is a step taken when full-time possession of a product is unaffordable and or unnecessary. Access to a product is complementary to sharing it. Fifth, the performance model leaves responsibility with the provider, with earnings based on the performance provided. It is up to the provider which machinery or products are deployed to carry out the required tasks. Users are exclusively interested in the quality of the service, not in the product providing it. Examples are printing, transportation, or a data cloud. At work, here is the so-called inseparability principle. Services are consumed at the same moment they are generated. There is a very good example of performance. It does not concern any particular product, but superior performance it is. In Mumbai, India, there is a system where moderately paid delivery persons called Dabawala pick up hot lunches from the homes of office workers, deliver them to the right place, and return the empty boxes afterwards. Each and every weekday, about 4,500 people deliver up to 200,000 lunches faultlessly. On time. Statisticians claim it is impossible, but it just happens. What all these models have in common is the potential to maintain control of the flow of materials and products and generate profit from them over time. Culture has characterized and underpinned industrial economies for more than half a century. Most business operating depends on the economic system. It has become clear that many companies will need to change how they operate if they are to survive. In a business model, we can start anywhere, focusing on what is going to be our business model archetype. Then, we need to define the category of life cycle: classic long life, hybrid, GAO, Exolider, access, performance. The term life cycle does not concern an actual product value over time, but rather the notion of business vitality. The product life cycle curve is part of the sell more faster business model. All that the life cycle curve shows is turnover in time for a certain category of products, which could be anything from a particular kind of peanut butter to a flat screen TV. The curve represents the relationship between time and money received. For this, we need to follow the next steps. Determine required number of repeated used cycles. Make inventory of need for replacement for each product part. If it works, then keep part design as is. Keep business model as is. Circular design. Defining design strategies for a long product lifespan starts with the notion that design concerns the whole economic circle of change. There are 6 strategies that have been defined. Their order is based on a concept called product integrity. a measure for how true a product remains to its original. First, designed for attachment and trust, the way in which users develop a certain bond with the objects they use. Second, designed for durability. It is based on defining optimum product reliability. Third, designed for standardization and compatibility. Fourth, design for ease of maintenance and repair. Maintenance and repair are currently divided among the original manufacturer, the gap exploiting service provider, and users. Fifth, designed for adaptability and upgradability. Possibilities to change a product. Sixth, design for dis- and reassembly. Attachment and trust. There is another side to this matter, which has hardly been investigated. Attachment is not equally important for every product. Use and possession of products are generally defined by a kind of obvious normality. The decision to get rid of something is determined by a glitch in what could be named suspension of distrust, an analogy to the term suspension of disbelief, that determines the quality of a story. You don't put something away to be forgotten if it doesn't disturb you for some reason, a noise, a dent, a stiff hinge, or whatever. To produce something with a long lifespan is more or less synonymous with designing for durability. This strategy is obvious, but the way to make it work, less so. Simply because for many products, it has hardly ever been an issue. Make sure that it works until the client stops caring that it has ceased to be. And let us not forget gifts. Many a label printer, to take a cliché example, is passed on to someone else in the family or stashed away somewhere without even having been unpacked. But still, even in this case, its quality is important, just in case the next owner turns out to be a user. Durability. The only way to find out if something works, and how well and for how long, is to test it. Testing a product requires assumptions about how the product is going to be used, and imagination. Product reliability is measured in terms of the probability that a product can no longer fulfill its function. Products that consist of several parts require multiplication of the respective reliabilities of these parts. So far, we have discussed technical reliability, but there is also a different kind of reliability, which is quite relevant for the lifespan of products. Reliability perception may well lead to a different technical outcome than actual reliability. This phenomenon emerges when the consequences of failure enter the scenario. Products that exist as monoliths in isolation are a rare breed. In the more common variety, they are surrounded by other products, made up of multiple parts. However, when they are connected to other parts, to devices, or to whimsical systems with asynchronous life cycles, they still need to be time-proof. Think of connections to, for example, the power network, to bolts, to small plastic attachments, or even to sticky tape that may damage the plastic surface of your product. Design needs to deal with such matters through standardization. with compatibility in its wake. This is more complicated than it sounds. A Brazilian designer can travel to Beijing and connect his laptop to a video projector over there, which is a miracle. Standardization and compatibility. Cleaning, brushing, and polishing are relatively simple acts of maintenance. Yet, even this may put the relationship between supplier and customer under severe stress. Not everything is allowed, and faulty treatment will result in scratches and loss of gloss. Entering the bowels of products is more of a hassle. Stickers warn users not to touch anything and command them to return their very own product to the manufacturer, or at the very least, take it to a qualified repair person. Product maintenance in a low-income country is quite a different matter, offering unlimited possibilities. Ease of maintenance and repair. Designed for maintenance is the most obvious strategy when the supplier benefits from it himself, which is the case in business models where the value proposition includes supplier ownership. We are really on the threshold of the future right now. Products with a long lifespan are adventurous. They will want to go beyond the time horizon, and we will have to prepare them for this, requiring the development of probable product lifespan scenarios. A thorough investigation of the products now can provide important information. Upgradability and adaptability. The scenario of change is bound to have consequences for your design. You can divide it into functional levels, some of which will change very slowly, if at all. This could concern the general structure. Others have to be easily adaptable by exchanging or adding modules. They can be technical updates, but also parts that provide new functionality, because the user has discovered new opportunities or is confronted with new needs due to children, accidents, age, or other radical life changers. Dis and reassembly. Age does not matter. Parts will always fit. Here we have a superb demonstration of the lifespan advantage of being able to disassemble a product and put it together again and again and again.
As we are getting to the end of the video, let's conclude this way. To make a truly durable product, it is not enough to have a good quality and resistant materials to have a long life with its user, but its durability must also reside within the industry. That is, be a constant product in the store shelves and in the production lines of a company reducing the zero marginal cost curves. To achieve this, there should be no expiration date. In other words, it must always be attractive to the market and generating demand. Although for a better than a product is elaborated, this always is going to be out of fashion at some point, so it must be constantly renewed. For example, a product that starts with something physical and mutates to a service, or a product linked to the network. In a third stage, this could link different products or services of the market. But to have access to all of these basic products is necessary. For example, a cell phone starts as physical product in which the user can have access not only to the basic function such as calls, messages, and camera. The person can access to the network, which is a different service from telephony. Also has the possibility to download applications with other services such as fast food or online shopping. It means Different products and services are linked, but the user must first consume the baseline product, in this case, the mobile. These type of products are those that currently have generated the greatest impact in the market because they know how to adapt, impact, and bind others, as mentioned in the Fourth Industrial Revolution.